We filmed in Toronto. So yeah, it was, yeah, loved Toronto. Yeah, it was really fun. We all stayed in the same building, the same hotel, Sutton Place Hotel. It was like Adam, me, Farley, David Spade, because they were making Tommy Boy at the same time. Gwyneth Paltrow was there making some movie. Like, it was just like this hotel filled with like the troupe. We were like vaudeville actors or something, like just this troupe of crazy people in a hotel.
All right. So welcome back to DMR. Thank you for tuning back in as always. Much obliged. So the Legends of the Lens series continues. And today's guest is Tamra Davis. So Tamra has a large list of credentials over many different sectors in Hollywood. She started in the 80s directing music videos with the likes of N.W.A. You've also got Sonic Youth and Hanson later in the 90s. Then she directed a film in 1992 called Guncrazy with Drew Barrymore, a thriller, very gritty, and it got Drew a Golden Globe nomination. Then have a listen to these very well-known staple comedies that she directed. We've got CB4 with Chris Rock. Then you had Adam Sandler in Billy Madison, one of the best and well-known comedies to come out of the 90s. Then you had Half-Baked with Dave Chappelle. We've also got Britney Spears in Crossroads in the early 2000s. She's also been involved in a fair few TV series and episodes, and she's directed episodes for Grey's Anatomy. You've also got shows like Dead to Me, The Politician, and P-Valley. She's also directed documentaries, and she's got one that's coming out next year called The Best Summer, which is basically found footage from the Somersault alt-rock music festival here in Australia in the mid-90s. And she was being evacuated from the Malibu fires last year, and as she's frantically trying to get out of the area, she comes across this box of tapes, and it's the music festival tapes. Now, I haven't seen the documentary. It comes out early next year, but just some amazing stories that Tamra has throughout her career from the 80s right up until today. She's got some great advice for people looking to get into the industry, especially with directing and whatnot. So buckle up. It's a cracker of a episode. You're going to enjoy this.
Welcome to DMR, Dewey's Movie Reviews, the red carpet treatment. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to DMR. Thank you for tuning back in as always. And today or tonight, we've got a very special guest, Tamra Davis. Welcome to DMR.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and talk to you.
I know. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. You're in a very nice little backdrop there in LA. It's summer over there at the moment. How is it in LA this time of year?
It's beautiful. It's summer here, and there's also waves. So there's a swell right now. So I'm really excited because, yeah, my kids are surfers. So it's nice. It's a good time. Yeah, one of them almost tried to leave to go to Australia because you guys just got some waves. So I was like, no, stay here. Yeah.
We did, yeah. I actually, whilst I'm not a surfer, I'm actually I haven't told you this yet, but I'm a drone operator, a drone pilot.
Ooh.
So at the moment, we are smack bang in the middle of humpback whale migration.
Oh.
And the best way I can describe filming these animals, these amazing aquatic beasts, is it's like Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I'm sure you see them when they're, oh my God, how fun.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they get as close as 50 meters offshore. And you can actually hear their blowholes when they're going past with their young calves. So it's amazing. It's very, very cool.
It's amazing. That's so beautiful.
So you spend a lot of time by the ocean, by it sounds like, with your kids, and so do I.
Yeah, right here on the ocean. It's so nice. And
awesome.
Yeah, Sydney's so beautiful. I haven't been there in a while, and I just, like when you fly over Sydney and you just see how it just is like, all those beautiful waterways and how big it is, but it's just like hugs the coast. It's just stunning. I just thought
It's
it was
very
the most beautiful city.
Yeah, it's very cool. Thank you. It's very cool. Like I've got a corporate job, and my main office tower overlooks all of Sydney Harbour. So I'm in there twice a week, and it's
Sydney
like,
Harbor.
yeah, it's an amazing place. So
Best.
so thank you again for coming on. So today we're going to be doing a bit of a deep dive, called it Legends of the Lens. So when I came across your profile, obviously you've got some very big cult classic films that we'll talk about shortly, but I wanted to rewind the clock and discuss like how you got obviously into the movie industry, but before that, where you started, where you grew up, what you studied, how you got into the entertainment industry.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to talk about that because I actually just wrote a book kind of
Oh
trying
wow.
to describe. I know I'm excited about it, but it's mostly that because, the way anybody starts, everybody's path is so different. And then I just was like, yeah, being a girl, it's a very different trajectory. But I grew up in Hollywood. I grew up in Hollywood, California. And I wanted to be an actress at first. And then
Mm-hmm.
then I decided that I wanted to have more control. So I became a director. And I went to film school at LA City College, which was
Okay.
just super cool. It was like the local college here. Um, and then I thought like I was going to make a feature film, but instead I was only like 23, 24. But I felt like guys are doing that, and
Mm.
I basically like got laughed at when I went into like my big meeting. But the good news was I had made a music video for a band, and it was right at the beginning time of like when music videos and MTV was just like crushing it. And so
Yep.
all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I became like a music video director, and they didn't care that I was a girl. And it was like I had a cool style, and I just had the best time in the world. And I did music videos, so that was kind
How,
of how I started.
how cool is that? So how long were you at film school for?
I think it was probably like a 2-year program, but it probably took me more like 3 or 4 years because I was like working, going to school. But yeah, it was really nice though because it was kind of a film program where it was the LA City College, so it wasn't just like all people who had money who could pay for it who thought they were like already privileged or something. It was really like local people and so there was something nice about that because when you made films, it felt like you showed them to the people that are at the movie theaters, not just critics. And so
Yep.
it really made me understand that, like, that people are going to the movie. You're trying to have all different kinds of people enjoy your films, not just like the whatever that group of cool critical people. Like, its films are equal. They're very you should appeal to the Armenian woman and the two black kids and the punk rock girl and the old guy. So I kind of really saw that going to a community college. And then, yeah, so I don't know. So I think that was like a good background.
Yep. Okay. So MTV, like that came out. Was it the early or mid '80s when it came out? Because I'm an '85 baby, so I kind of grew up in the early to mid '90s. So when did like
I feel
MTV
like
like really?
I think like they came out in the 80s or like they were really getting popular more in the late 80s.
Yep.
And then I guess I started trying to think. Like yeah, because I met Mike in 1988, and that was like by then I was kind of like a pretty not established, but I was doing like a bunch of rap videos at the time. So I probably started doing videos around 86 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember
And
what
at
the?
the time, like the
Yep.
difference was like when MTV started, it was all these like slick kind of big hair bands or like it looked really kind of a big lighting and all that kind of stuff. And what I did is I filmed a band with my Super 8 camera from the checkout from the film school. And it had this, and I was like in the pit getting bumped or on the side of it was like just handheld, look grainy, black and white.
Yep.
And that nobody had really seen something shot like that other than like their old home videos or something.
Yeah.
And so to
Okay.
put it in a way for a rock feel, it kind of made it feel really cool and edgy.
Mm.
And so I think like that was kind of what was cool about MTV is that they let people who had like a new style and just, yeah, yeah, and it kind of shook it up a little bit. And I think that was a fun entry. And I got to do all these cool alternative bands at the time. So that was really neat.
Nice. So you work with some of the people like the groups like N.W.A, Sonic Youth back then. So what was it like during that time? Because like in the like mid '80s, rap was basically exploding, and then it kind of shifted a bit to like a different style. Like in the '90s, I suppose, with all that gangster rap and all that kind of stuff. So what was it like back then, especially like in Hollywood, LA, with all that genre of music?
Well, I was coming from it from like a couple different places. One, I grew up in LA, so I
Yep.
knew LA culture. But also like my early films, one of my early films was called Vida Loca, which was about gangs in the San Fernando Valley. And then one of my first TV shows was like about, yeah, so I'd like grown up and filmed gang stuff, gang activity. And so I knew about the world a bit.
Yep.
And then, I've been doing like rap music. Like I did Tone Loc, Wild Thing and Bust a Move and like kind of like, but that was kind of like, it was like blending black and white worlds together because that was the music that I was listening to when we went to clubs. Those songs were produced by this guy Matt Dyke, who was my best friend, and he had a club called Power Tools, and so like we were all dancing to like black songs, and so when Matt made that song and I made the video, we like really blended the crowd, so we wanted it to show like this is what was going on in the club scene, but on MTV it was just like black videos. Like it wasn't like a crossover at all. It was like you were either a black artist or you're a white artist.
Yep.
And so like when I made the Tone Loc Wild Thing video to have this black guy like humping up against these white girls, it was definitely, I made it for $400. It was like super low budget. Like we were having fun, and it
Yep.
became the biggest music video on MTV, whatever. It was gigantic and sold so many records. So, and then Bust a Move was like me also, blending that culture. That was like what was going on in LA at the time. So that was super fun. But, like Tone Loc was from that world. Like he was rap, he was definitely, he lived in that world. Yeah, that's a gang name. We didn't know what it meant. We just thought Tone, like loco, crazy. We didn't know what it meant, but he was, it's a gang name. But and then when I worked with N.W.A, that was just really fun. Like, yeah, I met with Easy because I had done those videos, and they were gigantic videos, and he wanted to hire the person that made those videos.
Yep.
And so then I started working with him, and yeah, and his world was for real. Like it was for real. Like those guys were definitely from Compton, and had probably just been doing their thing like a year or two earlier. Like, it wasn't like,
Yeah.
they were, it was pretty rough, but I don't know. I felt, I got along really well with Easy. He wanted to make movies. He really loved Hollywood. He liked that I wanted to be in the film business, and we made a short film, and yeah, we just did a lot of music videos together, and it was great. And I felt like I had a style that I wanted to do with them, and I liked that he backed me, so that when I worked with all those guys that were all just like complete, like yes, you could call it N.W.A, but you could also call them their, it was that group of guys. It's a gang, but yeah, I felt protected. I felt fine, and I think like, I don't know, maybe there was something about, instead of being like a white dude with a baseball hat coming up to these guys and telling them what to do, the fact that I was just this blonde girl, that was smiley coming up and telling them what to do. I think maybe I was able to get performances out of all these guys that normally would be very intimidating. I just more had fun. I like saw it as fun, and I laughed, and I got along well with those guys.
How cool. So with shooting and directing the music videos, like, might be a bit of an odd question, or a question that's might not be easy to answer, but how long does that usually take to film a video? Because like they go for what an average song is like a couple of minutes, like 3 to 4 minutes. Like how long would you be working on site with music videos back in the day?
I mean, I feel like we would do 1 day videos or 2 day videos, and they used
Okay.
to have like really bad reputations that people would go all hours or like go forever. And I was never that director. I was like really very efficient. I had shot lists. I was like really planned, and I wanted everybody to have fun, and I wanted to get good performances out of the band. And I didn't feel like people were doing their best work at hour 13, 14, 15. So for me either. So I just feel like yeah, usually take like 1 or 2 days. A lot of that would depend on how much money you had.
Yep.
In a weird way, I feel like, because I like right now people make music videos, but now they make videos for nothing. Like that's the thing that I'm in
Mm.
shock about now is like we had money to make music videos and they were on the air and they were part of like the media empire. But now it's kind of like bands still need music videos.
Mm.
There's no like major place to play them, so there's no MTV, but bands still need them. But now they only will pay like five, six, $7,000 for a video on most bands. Yeah. And then
Interesting.
it's up to like all these kind of creative young people who I guess now that you put a camera in everybody's hand and you give them all an editing system, everybody thinks they can make a film. And some people can, but I just am more like, damn, they're asking these young directors, which I can't believe how much what I learned. I learned so much from directing music videos, and what an incredible opportunity to work with a crew and work with, like lighting equipment and dollies and cameras and moving a crew from one location to another. All that stuff were all things that, taught me how to make features and taught
Mm.
me how to move on to that. Whereas I feel like now, but maybe that's the way features are going. It's the very few videos are these big, huge videos, like, or even videos that were low budget. It's just a different scenario. But I really felt we were so lucky. We got to do all these videos and we had budgets, but it also created this amazing time for filmmakers. I mean, that's where Spike Jonze came out of, that's where David Fincher came out of, Michel Gondry, like all these cool directors came out of that training ground. And it was because there was a need for it. There was MTV. It supported this huge industry and created all this talent.
Yeah. Yeah. And as I mentioned, like I grew up in the early '90s, so this is where you come into play with your films, some of the big films that you worked on, cult classics as well. So over the last week and a half, I've been doing a bit of a movie marathon with your films. Ones that I had seen that was a long time ago. Billy Madison, I don't need to rewatch because that's a staple comedy. But stuff like CB4, Half Baked, and also Guncrazy. Now, Guncrazy I hadn't seen, and I only just watched it yesterday, and I absolutely
Huh.
loved it. Such an
Oh,
awesome film,
you
very very
thank you.
cool film, and it kind of gave me vibes of like Bonnie and Clyde a little bit, and like Romeo and Juliet, which obviously the modern version came out a few years later, I think in the mid '90s. But I hadn't seen that side of Drew Barrymore before in such a gritty film. So
Yeah.
talk to me about that. Like, how did you get onto that film initially? Just run me through the whole thing because she got a nomination. I think it was a Golden Globe nomination off the back
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that.
I know. I'm so happy I
Yeah,
talk about that. I love that movie. That was my first movie, and what it takes to try to get your first movie made is always like a Herculean feat because yeah, it's hard. It's so hard to get a first film up.
yeah,
On that one, that actually was the script that I presented when I was 23, 24, yeah, and got laughed at. But they took that script and they optioned it out from underneath me. And so I lost that script. And then it took me 7 or 8 years of doing music videos. And then somehow the writer called me and he's like, "Hey, that script's available again." I was like, "What?" And so I got the script back, and then yeah, and then I just found people that were able to like put up money for, and like sell foreign rights and pre-sales, and I made it for $800,000. Yeah, so under $1 million. Yeah, and it was my first film. I got to work with my DP, Lisa Rinsler, who I'd done all these music videos with. So she and I had like this great working relationship, and I think that's really important. Like having, if you're trying to be a director, to have like a tight crew that you work with, like people that you kind of grow up with and you have a secondhand language. And then it was super cool working with Drew, like I don't know, like she was, I knew her as like a club kid in LA,
Yep.
and she read the script and she wanted to come in, and I was like, nah, she's just, she's, I don't know, I didn't really take her seriously, but then she demanded to come and see me. And I met with her and she told me her whole story and I just fell in love with her and I believed in her and she's like, nobody believes in me anymore. And I was like, I do, I will. Yeah, so because I just thought she was so, I just believed in her. I liked her and I knew how hard it is, you know, and I knew I'd read her book, Little Girl Lost. I knew what a tough life she had. And I wanted to be
Yep.
somebody that believed in her. So yeah, so I cast her and she moved in with Mike and I, and yeah, we made Guncrazy and shot in 23 days. And it was a great experience. It was really, I felt like even though I didn't get my film made right out of film school, I feel like by the time I got to make it 7 years later, and I don't know how many, whatever, 50, 60 music videos later, I was a director. Like I knew what I was doing. I knew I had a vision. I knew what I wanted. I knew how to move the camera. I knew how to create. Yeah. So I felt like, thank God in a way that I didn't get that first film, because I feel like I made such a better film uh, by having a lot more experience.
Yeah, she nailed it. How old was she in that? She's only, what, 16, 17 by the look of it? She's a kid.
She's 15. She's 15.
Wow.
Yeah,
There you
she's a
go.
baby.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
very much so.
But
Very, such a gripping tale as well.
yeah, I think she's
There's something.
15. Maybe she's turned 16 while we were shooting it because remember she's driving. Yeah, she's a baby. She's a little baby girl.
This film, Guncrazy, it kind of, for me, looking back, like I came up with obviously in the early 90s, as I mentioned. So video stores before they became extinct, and
Yeah.
obviously going to movies was my kind of home. Right, I've been a movie buff since I
Mm-hmm.
was 5. But there's something about 90s thrillers that kind of hit different. They kind of hit different. Films like this one, that pretty gritty film, like it did have that impact on me. But films like Cape Fear, and you've also got, what's the other one as well? The movie called Fear itself with Mark Wahlberg in it. Have you seen that one, Fear? With who else is in it? Reese Witherspoon. It came out in the mid '90s. Great film, brilliant film. But there's that
Favorites?
kind
I
of,
don't know.
yeah. So there's that kind of that mid '90s or early to mid '90s feel of the thrillers. They just kind of hit a bit differently. What's the other one? Basic Instinct as well. That kind of feel. Do you know what I mean? There's,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
obviously there's thrillers up from then up until now, but there was something about that era where the filmmaking was just different, and like films that are on like streaming, like Basic Instinct and all that, whenever they come on, I always flick them on because they always kind of they hit home. There's something about it. Can you tell me what was it about the '90s with thrillers and stuff like that that kind of make them like stand out? Is it the grittiness? I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like one, we were still shooting on film. So, Gun
Yep.
Crazy shot on 35 millimeter film. So that, first of all, the colors, the way that looks is going to, have that rich quality.
Mm.
Um, I feel like, you're influenced by the things that, what came before you and, whatever. So you're always watching, to me, I was watching Bonnie and Clyde. I was watching Badlands. So you're watching those films that have that kind of the noir couple on the run,
Mm.
evoking the feel of a road movie. Yeah, so I just feel like you're being influenced at your time by the things that happened the decade or whatever the few years before you.
Yep.
So yeah, so I feel like I don't know, the 90s had a good reference point. Like that was made in early 90s. So I was, just came out of the 80s and I knew that like there was a cheesy part of the 80s that I didn't like, but there was a great part of like the 70s cinema, that you really kind of thought was super cool. So I think like there's maybe I don't know. Yeah, so and I feel like it was also the 90s. There was this whole indie filmmaking thing that was
Mm.
like blooming that I got, thank God, like came into. And it was, the rain, it was like started where indie filmmaking was,
Yep.
prominent and back. And so I just feel like that part was super cool to be part of that wave. And yeah, thing with filmmaking is if you want to be a filmmaker, you got to like figure out what the wave is and try to catch that wave. So like I was
Yep.
lucky, but I was a hustler, but you have to be like, oh, the MTV wave. And then it was like, oh, the movie wave, indies and comedies, so you just have to see like where the work is coming from and try to put yourself in the right position, especially when you're somebody that's in a, more diverse or, like myself at the time. And even
Yep.
now, I can't even say at the time because the numbers are even worse now for women directors. So it's not
That's a
like,
shame.
oh, yeah, I know it's terrible.
You're right. Most of the directors these days are male. Yeah, that's a bit of a sad thing.
Yep. Yeah. It's imagine if only 7% of all the books we read were written by women. It would be terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully that will change. So that was 92, great film. So 92, that next year, I think it was 93. So CB4 is what you
Yay.
did next, is that correct? Yeah. With Chris
Mm-hmm.
Rock and all these stars. You look at them in your films and they're all babies. So I
Yeah.
watched CB4 the other day. I had seen it a long, long time ago, but it was a good refresh. A very funny film. Very funny film. So, and you can tell, like, with the way you shot that, directed it, like, you got that music video influence because it's about, gangster rappers or wannabe gangster rappers who steal a guy's name. Was it Gusto? I think it was, Charlie Murphy. And,
Yes.
yeah, so talk to me about CB4. How did you get on that, like, off the back of Guncrazy?
Um, I I knew Chris. I'd done a video with him and a PSA with him, um, and I was like really well known as a rap video director. I'd done all these videos, so I knew that world. And I just had to position myself to be the perfect person for that job because otherwise you might be like, how does this girl get that job? But yeah, the work that I had done, and I had a really good pitch, and I went in and sold the guys at Universal. And Chris and I just had the best time together. I loved making him laugh. I was very professional with him, knowing like when you work with comedians, you don't want to keep them waiting around all day. You want to be fast. You want to be ready for them. You want to make them feel like they're having a great time. Everybody's light on the set. Everyone wants to laugh on your set. So I think like we had worked together, so he saw how I worked like that, and we just had the best. And I knew Nelson George, his producing partner and writing partner, and yeah, we just had the best time in the world. We had so much fun. We got to work with so many talented people, and he really like taught me the thing of like looking for a joke and not leaving a scene until you've figured out like if you've gotten every joke out of that scene that you could possibly get out of it. If there was a joke under the table, we'd be like, okay, let's go under the table. So just really having fun and being creative, working together, and yeah, we had so much fun making that film. It was awesome.
Very funny film. And the set at the end where they have their concert and it's a jail cell. That was very, very cool. I love the look of that. So, what was it like filming that scene with them at the concert?
It's funny because you're trying to make a big concert, but you're filming, so you're not really booking out a whole stadium. And I feel like, and I thank God I had done so many music videos, so I knew how to create like a lighting design and make things feel big and how to shoot videos. So I shot a lot of big live things, and I feel like all that part, like that part was really fun. So I used my skills and I got to do that. And then I just also laugh about how a lot of the times we thought what we were filming was so funny and like so this is crazy. Now I just feel like, oh my God, some of the song, like we thought Sweat of My Balls was like so crazy, but you got Megan the Stallion singing W.A.P. and you're just like, oh my God, we were just, and that's serious. So I just feel like it's so funny how things have really changed, where at that time the comedy was in the extreme. Yeah, we had fun. Like I think like that was, yeah, just having like enjoying yourself while you do it, even though it's a challenge and so hard to pull stuff like that off because you have so many elements happening. But yeah, you just plan it. I don't know. I'm a really good planner. I'm a really good person of like coming up with a plan.
Yeah. No, great film, good stuff. And moving on to the mid 90s, so we've got 95 with Adam Sandler and Billy Madison. So obviously, it's, as I said before, it's such a brilliant staple comedy that you can always just throw on and laugh at.
Hmm.
So, what was it like working with Sandler on that one? And where was that? Where was that taking place? Where was that shot at? Where was that filmed at?
We filmed in Toronto. So
Okay.
yeah, it was, yeah, loved Toronto. Yeah, it was really fun. We all stayed in the same building, the same hotel, Sutton Place Hotel. It was like Adam, me, Farley, David Spade, because they were making Tommy Boy at the same time.
Yep.
Gwyneth Paltrow was there making some movie. Like it was just like this hotel filled with like the troop. We were like vaudeville actors or something. Like just this troop of crazy people in a hotel. And
Yep.
I don't know, like it, again, like I had to. I came on that film. I was originally Universal after doing CB4. They brought me out to meet Adam, and Adam and I met, but then he decided to work with one of his friends to direct it. And then unfortunately, that didn't work out. And then I got brought back. So it was kind of another situation where I thought I had a movie, and then I didn't get the movie, and then the movie came back. So it was kind of like they, yeah, they brought me back in, and yeah, but it was also really crucial that Adam and I nail it. This was his first film. He had done
Yep.
like a couple little, side things, but he hadn't led a film before. And so it was really important that we get it right. And I had to listen to, he had this writing partner. I think they still work together, Tim Herlihy, and just listening to how they would work. Like Tim would write a joke, but it wouldn't really be that funny. It wouldn't look that funny on a piece of paper. But then Adam would say it, and it would be hilarious. So it would just be like trying to figure out like how to work the best with Adam, how to get the best performance out of Adam, and make him, yeah, just like have fun while you're making this movie so that he gets a career out of it. Because I always felt like whether it was a music video or an acting job or whatever, like if you can give that actor or that performer, that artist that's putting themselves in front of the camera and being vulnerable, if you can put them in a situation where they actually enjoy what they're doing and they're having a good time and they're enjoying it, you can get a career out of that person. But if they come up and
Yeah.
do it and they might have done great, but they hated it and they never want to do it again, it's like it was torture and they hated it, then it's what a fail. And so it was always, I felt like because a lot of times I did people's first things. That's what I would get, is whatever. I didn't get like all the big jobs. I got the unknown thing, and then I had to make the best thing out of, it was a miracle that I got to at least choose those things. So I got to choose the things that I liked. And I was like, a lot of times I did people's first things, but I felt like if I did their first thing and I gave them a really great experience or made them feel confident or made them feel like could have a career in this um, and yeah, that you could help somebody really, continue in that path. And I really like that. So yeah, Adam and I had the best time ever making Billy Madison. Every day was hilarious, hilarious. Yeah.
And when it came out in '95, did it blow up? How did it go back then? Like, was it like just how did
That's happened
was
to me
there?
a few times where I do it, where like, you do movies like this and they test it to freaking hell at the studios, like 5, 6, 7 times in theaters, 400 kids watching it, grading you. They like give every kid a sheet of paper. They have to fill it out. Then they film everybody. Then they ask everybody what they thought about it. Then they, it's torture what they put you through on these test screenings.
Jeez.
They're Nowadays, it's even worse. I've been to test screenings where they wire people, so they're reading their brain waves,
Oh
telling you
my
how it
lord.
is. The last one I did, they're filming you while you're watching it, watching your eyeballs where it's going when your attention. It's freaking crazy what they put you
That's
through
insane.
testing these myths. It's insane. So I like the old days where even though it was hard as hell to sit in a theater with people and then interview that they have like focus groups afterwards. It's painful. But Billy Madison, the audience loved it when we screened it. Adams fans, they loved it. Like, just a
Yep.
theater filled with like 400 kids in Thousand Oaks. Totally amazing. But when the movie came out, it came out well. I think it either both CB4 and Billy Madison, they either opened one or two, like the number one movie or the number two movie. So box office wise, they did amazing, and they were made for like nothing. They were like made as like little side projects for Universal and for like $10 million because they were little teeny movies, and then they had like a backhand distribution deal. But then the critics were really awful. The critics were so mean on Billy Madison. They didn't like Adam Sandler, and it was just like broke my heart because I loved Adam, and I just was like, and I knew all his fans loved him, and his audience loved him, and just like so it made me so mad that critics like didn't understand this new voice in comedy, somebody that was like relating to the kids. It was kids' age. It was like, yeah, they just didn't get it. And so, and then I got like kind of more rebellious in a way. And I was just like, I was like, that's like when you play punk rock music and your parents don't like it. And it's like, and you just realize like, if you played your music to your parents and they don't like it, like you're happy, you're like, yeah, it's not for you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so I kind of like came out with this other rebellious attitude towards Adam, and just like he stopped talking to critics after that. Like I don't think he did an interview until like maybe 3 years ago. I think he did his first interview,
Yeah,
but
wow.
he like they were so mean, yeah, and it just was like. And if you talk, yeah, Adam, we knew what we had. Like we liked it, Adam liked it, and yeah, and I think like now, of course, everybody's okay with it, but that happens. Sometimes you release something and the audience isn't there yet, or the critics think it's something and they try to control the media, but then the audience finds it, or the audience is like, no, that was for us. Wasn't
Yeah.
for them, wasn't for
It,
Roger Ebert. Yeah.
it's amazing how some films can come out and then, as you just said, the critics like slam it, but they only really take off like years later, then become cult classics because you've got multiple cult classics. You've got multiple actors that have come to you right at the start of their careers, and you've shot them to stardom. So you should be extremely proud with the work that you've done. Like, for instance, I heard the other day, was it Ed Norton? Like, my favorite film is Fight Club, right? So I
Love.
believe when that came out, it didn't do well at all. But it's only like years later
Right.
where it's got a massive cult following. And I don't
Yeah.
think they should ever remake that film. I think it was a book. I read the actual first book. There's a second novel. Haven't read that one, but hopefully they don't remake it. The only thing with that film is that what would have been cool to see in Fight Club is the social media side of things. That would have been quite funny to add into it.
Yeah, yeah.
But other than that, we
Yeah.
shouldn't touch it. But yeah, it's just another example of like a film that didn't do
Yeah,
great. But
something
then,
comes out and people, yeah. And it's like now Fight Club is like, it's legendary. Yeah, it's such a great film.
did you
Yeah.
see the other day? I think when Brad Pitt and Ed Norton were at the soccer together, and it had the meme saying you've got Brad Pitt talking to him or Ed Norton talking to himself, and like
Yeah.
Gen Z would not get that if they
No.
haven't seen the film. So it was very very funny. I thought that was
But
good.
he's
But
that.
yeah. So moving forward, then 98 Dave Chappelle in Half Baked. Again, very very funny film. I laughed my ass off the other day when I watched it again. So he was just starting his career in that one as well. Is that right?
Yeah, like I'd done Billy Madison, and my producer was Bob Simons, and he called me and he's like, "Oh, I got a script I want to send you. We want to shoot in 5 weeks. We're already like Perry, our production designer. He's already up there building the sets." I'm like, "You're shooting in 5 weeks?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah. I'm sending you the script right now." And so he sent me the script, and I've read the first scene of that 7-Eleven thing. And I called Bob and I was like, "Bob, this is hilarious." I was like, "Who are these guys?" Neil Brennan and Dave Chappelle. And he's like, "Yeah, Dave's a comedian. He's going to," he'd only done one thing I could find. He'd played like a little teeny part in Nutty Professor, where he roasts Eddie Murphy at a
Yes.
comedy club. Like in
Yes,
some
and
big fat or something.
he throws him into the piano. That's right. He's got the
I don't
dreadlocks, the
remember
crappy.
that part. I just remember he like is on the stage and he's looking crazy, and that was the only thing I could find on him.
Yeah,
And I immediately said, I'd love to, I want to meet on it. I think he's pretty funny. And so I met him in person, him and Neil, and we all fell madly in love with each other. I thought those two were the funniest guys. They were an incredible pair together, great writing partnership. Dave, I just thought he was 23. Yeah, they were both 23 years old. So it was like, and
Young,
yeah,
very,
and
very
then we
young.
were shooting in 5 weeks. It was like, okay, go.
Mm.
And it was just trying to like capture lightning in a bottle. I just felt like my job was just to, enable Dave and enable Neil and support them and, you know, whatever, give them the structure that they need to get the shots and get the scenes and get it done. And in the meantime, just like let them explore, let them have fun. Because you always like, you have a scene on a page and it's written and then there's dialogue and maybe you've read it once or twice, rarely. And then you have your sets and then you just see what a comedian does when they play, and then you're working with really talented people.
Yep.
Everybody brings their A game and everybody adds something, and it's hard to really know what's going to happen until everybody is there at that moment. So you kind of have to be ready for it. It's really like creating something live, and you want to keep that energy and keep the fun and encourage it and encourage the genius. Dave's a genius. And so
Yeah.
that was
Very.
just for me. We were just having fun. He's making a movie, and yeah, it's like, yeah, we just had a great time making it and having fun and just doing something that seemed silly and just going with it.
What I like
Yeah.
about Dave, when he did the Chappelle show, I think it might have been a couple of seasons, and then he turned his back on Hollywood, and he went dark for a very long time and went rogue for a very long time, and then he's only just kind of popped back up recently. And I've heard some stories about him, like he'd go randomly, he'd show up at like comedy clubs, or he'd go into a park and just jump up on a bench and start doing stand up comedies to people in a crowd. It's just wild stuff. The guy's amazing. The comedy that he produces
Yeah,
is
his stand-up
very,
is
very.
brilliant. He's great.
Yep.
He's an incredible speaker, and I know I love him dearly. Yeah, and I feel like that's the thing is you work with a lot of these people, and once you have an experience like that, it's like going to summer camp with somebody. It's like you've gone through, or you've gone through something with somebody, and these, it's as fun as it is hard to make a movie because you're working together 12, 14-hour days, and there's a lot of pressures, and every day is like another big problem. It's like you can't believe the problems that you have. Something's always breaking. It's always like drama. It's crazy.
Yep.
And so when you go through the crazy situation with a group of people, yeah, it's like going to summer camp, and you come out of it and you'll have a bond that'll always be there. Yeah, I just saw Chris Rock recently. We had the best time. Yeah, he came.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he came to he actually came to one of my screenings at Tribeca Film Festival. He showed up, so that was amazing. And then he went to one of Mike's shows, and he and I were standing on the side of the stage singing Sure Shot together, and we just had the best time.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
awesome.
so I don't know, like those guys are just the most. I love them all so dearly. And I can't even believe that I at a time when they were all three unknown, I did back-to-back films with Chris Rock, Adam Sandler, and Dave Chappelle, and just like that was crazy. Like those three comedians that's our culture. Those are our gods of American comedy culture. They're so important to us. To me,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
very
well,
impressive.
well. Thank you for giving the world those films
I mean, it's
because
not
they're.
me. I thank them for giving me the opportunity to be there. I just was so happy that, yeah, I don't know how that happened. I was in the
Yeah,
right
no, it's
place.
awesome. Good stuff. So you'll need to kind of guide me through here because the early 2000s with Crossroads with Britney Spears, like I haven't seen that film. So talk to me. What was that like working on that one?
That's amazing. You should see it. It's a good film. That
Okay.
also, yeah, that's a really crazy movie. I originally said no. I was like, no, it's Britney Spears. It was the height of her fame when they asked
Mm.
me to. And Anne Carly, who I knew very well, and she kind of took care of Britney at the record company. She was like, we really want a girl to do this. We want her to have, and they knew that I would protect her and be there for her. And yeah, so yeah, so I was like, no, and then they're like, will you meet her? So they're like, will you go to Vegas and meet her? And I was like, yes, of course, that sounds fun. So we
Mm,
went and I met her, and we spent the day together, and I just loved her, and it was the Britney that we all want right now. Like who she was then was
mm,
amazing. That's not
yeah,
who she is right now. Who she
yeah,
was then was a badass. She ran the whole thing.
mm,
She did it with the Southern politeness, but the whole thing, nothing was done without her approval. When I first saw her, she was just she looked like a kind of a Southern local girl. And by the end of it,
yeah,
she, like the day to the night I hung out with her, she became Britney Spears with makeup and hair and outfit and all that. And just she had like a really strong commitment. She really wanted to act. She really wanted to make a movie. She really wanted to change her image. She'd hired a new writer that was like an unknown person named Shonda Rhimes to write the script.
yep,
And so it was like a really cool girl movie. She wanted to do a movie where she wasn't the lead. It's an ensemble piece. It's her, Zoe Saldana, and Taryn Manning, and so it's really like about these three girls on a road trip again. And Anson Mount is in it as well, who's amazing. Yeah, and so it was just a really fun time. We had to really isolate her and get to a place where we just like became like this troupe, and we rehearsed and we just stayed in this bubble, and yeah, we made a movie together. And has super girl film, like themes. It's, a lot of girl talk and girl things that girls deal with, and it was an incredible experience making it. I loved talking back and forth with Shonda, and like, all girls were behind the camera. My producer was a girl. It was just, that was really cool. And then when we yeah, it was a really good experience making it. The finishing part was tough. Like, I had to get through Paramount, Sherry Lansing, like the release thing. But what, as always, the thing that I always found was my strength was the audience. And
yep,
they always test these movies. And if you get good scores from your audience, that you can like use that to counter some executives' notes, because you're always fighting against like somebody. That's why it's always good to work with people you love, and you not love necessarily, but that you respect. Because if somebody gives you a note, you want to respect it. You want to know, like, oh, that person did that before, so that I really respect their opinion. And a lot of times you're working with executives, you have no idea. You have no idea what they did before, and they're giving you
yep,
notes and they're asking you to change your material,
mm,
and you just don't know. So I'd always be like, well, this, I made it for my audience. What does the audience think? Like, does that line up, or at least be the same? Like, are you giving me a note that lines up what the audience wants? Like, or are you just saying sort of your personal opinion on something? So I just feel
mm,
like that part's a tricky part, and you have to always be professional as you get through that part, because it's the part you always have to get through that. Unless you're making it with your own money, if you're spending somebody else's money, that money comes with somebody's opinion. So you have to
yep,
do what they say usually.
yeah, got
Um,
it.
yeah, you have to figure that out and figure out how do you make something and still be creative about it. So I feel like what I loved about that specific, with Crossroads, Sherry made us test it like crazy, and we got like the highest scores. You got like a 98 among girls in our audience. Girls loved it.
Wow.
And then again, when it came out, we got completely crushed by the critics. The critics and boys like were
Mm,
goofballs in the theater, but yeah, critics were like mean to Britney, and you're just, why? I'm so, I
mm,
just don't get it. I mean, I also come at it from a different way, because I've seen like young people that I've worked with, because I work with so many young, talented people, they get crushed by the critics. And like some of them either don't ever work again, or they kill, like they're whatever. It's like it really messes with their head. And just criticism in general. It's like, if you don't want to, like, don't review it then, or don't make your stand
mm,
by tearing down, thinking it's great to tear down somebody else's artistic endeavor. Just like move on.
yep,
Review
mm,
Fast and Furious. It's not for you, so you just whatever. So I just feel
yep,
like that's the part where I get really defensive, and I just don't understand that aspect of it. And or also just like you know, if you, and nobody has to like everything. I don't want everybody to like
No.
what I do. I enjoy that. I hope people don't like what I do. I hope people sometimes get mad at what I do or just like complain, whatever. Like I don't want to make something that pleases everybody, because then I just, whatever, I just make Coca-Cola or like a, I don't know, some boring, whatever. I don't want to only do. So I think that that's just the thing that you have to figure out as a filmmaker, how you get through all those ups and downs, and also as yourself being
Yeah.
criticized. How do you continue, and how do you be like, I made what I wanted to make, and I know I made the writers happy. I know I had a great time while I made it. I know I made the thing I said I was going to make, and that's all you have. And then you just let history kind of come to its place, and you just enjoy the moment more than the result, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Well, the movies I've seen that you've directed, they're all great. So, and I'll review films. So, yeah, very good job. I love them. So, they're very good stuff. So, I'm just a bit conscious of time there. Now it's getting a bit late over
Okay,
there.
cool.
So, I'll fast forward to documentaries. Is it The Radiant Child? Is that what you've
Mm-hmm.
done? So,
Mm-hmm.
talk to me about that. I haven't seen the trailer for that. I haven't looked at it. So, what's that one about?
Ooh, that's one of my favorite movies. That one was about when I was best friends with this guy, or really close with this guy named Jean-Michel Basquiat, who's a painter. And
Yep.
when I was going to film school, I was in my early 20s. He was maybe 1 or 2 years older than me. He had just come to LA for his first show, and we became really close friends. And I was at film school, and he was like, "Oh, you should make a movie about me, because one day I'm going to be famous, and one day you're going to be, I'm going to be a big artist." And so we just started filming, and over the years that he'd come in and out of town, I would film him in the studio and that. And then he died young because of the critics and whatever. So he died thinking his career was over at 27. And and then I
Oh,
took the
no.
film and I didn't do anything with it. And then 20 years later, this is now 20 years even from then. He was doing
Right.
they were doing a huge retrospective at the museum, and I told the lady, I knew the lady who was putting it together. I was like, "Oh yeah, he was my friend. I have all this footage of him." And she's like, "What? Nobody has footage of this guy." She's like, "You?"
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, "Yeah, no, he was my close friend. I filmed him. He told me to make a movie about him, so I had all this film." And yeah, so I put a film together, and I made a film about him, and I interviewed everybody, and it was really good because everybody was still around, still even 20 years later, everybody still had fresh stories. And yeah, and so I made a documentary about him, and it was really hard to make because it was very emotional. I wanted
Yeah.
to really represent who he was, and at the time he was known, but not very, he was well known, but nowhere near where he's at now. Now I think he holds the record of the most expensive art ever sold in America, the most famous
Wow.
artist. He's the most, I think yeah, I mean, you can look up what his last painting sold for. I don't know. It's
I'll have to
like,
go back and watch that one. Wow. How
yeah,
about that, eh?
yeah. He's like
You
the
said
most famous American artist right now. Yeah.
okay.
Jean-Michel. Yeah.
So you
Do you
said
know
the
what his
critics
work looks
haven't.
like?
No.
You'll see if you take one look. Yeah. You'll be like, "Oh, that
Okay.
guy."
Got it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I made that movie, and I'm so proud of it. It's a beautiful film, and it really makes me happy that that film is done. Yeah.
Oh, that's very good.
That's
Awesome.
very
That's good.
personal.
I'll go back and put that on my list to watch.
Yes.
So you've got here as well some of my show notes. The best summer.
That's what's just now coming
Is
out.
that right?
Yeah.
It's
That's
now
the
coming
film
out. So
that was
what's that one about?
that was just at the Seattle Film Festival. It played at the Sydney
Okay.
Opera House, and then I was just at
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to Melbourne next, like in a week or two. That one is
Nice.
also another one of my treasured gems. When I was moving from evacuating the Malibu fires, I had a box of videotapes, and I'm like, "What is in all these tapes?" And I opened it up, and I realized that in 1995, I went with Mike, who he and I had just gotten married, and he was about to go to Australia to do a tour called Somersault, which you
Mm-hmm.
may have heard of. It was a big Australian tour, kind of an offshoot of, it was like kind of modeled after Big Day Out, but it was this guy, Steve Pav, who did it. And it
Okay.
was Beastie Boys, Sonic
Mm-hmm.
Youth, Foo Fighters, Pavement, Beck, Bikini Kill, Amps, Rancid. Yeah, it was like the most amazing lineup. And yeah, I went on the road with Mike, and And I had no idea when I opened up this box, I filmed a whole documentary. I filmed all the concert, I filmed
Wow.
all full songs, and Kathleen Hanna and I were running around. We do all these interviews, so I interviewed everybody. So it's a whole film from 1995, as if it's a found footage documentary, and it's
How
beautiful.
cool is
I
that?
never come back to now. It only stays at that time, and it's just this incredible 90s like beautiful film of what it was like to be in the 90s. And everybody's young and beautiful, and everybody acts like they're your best friend in the movie. So you're like, oh, you're just hanging out with Kim Gordon or Dave Grohl or Beck, and because we're all on tour together, and everyone's still so young, and before everyone got so gigantic. Yeah, I mean they were starting to get big, but it was like, yeah, it was very nice.
So you say it's coming out now? It hasn't been released, or
It's at film festivals this year, and then I
okay?
got a distribution deal in Australia through Madman, so it'll be coming
Oh yeah,
out
yep.
probably January, February is when it comes out in Australia.
Oh, that'd be great because I'm very familiar with what you said about Big Day Out. That was my rite of passage when I was a
You'll
young.
freak this movie. It's a different kind of film. I got into Sundance. Like it's so hard for a film to get it, like a
Mm,
whatever to Sundance, and so it's interesting. It's a different kind of a film. I filmed it all myself. It's all point of view, so it feels like you're the person. And yeah, it's all archival footage found. Yeah, so and it takes you on this tour. Yeah, it's really crazy.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm gonna have to look out for that one because yeah, I know very well about Big Day Out. I went to stacks of them when they were still
Yeah, they're
around.
the best.
So
And the
yeah,
Australian audience, and I call it the best summer, even though we went there, it was the winter for us. It was like New Year's Eve and right around that time. But
yeah.
in Australia, it was the best summer. Yeah.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to say that. That'd be very cool. So last couple of points. So you've worked with TV series as well. What you got here? Grey's Anatomy, Dead to Me, The Politician, and P Valley. Is that right?
There's some of them. Yeah, I probably did like, I don't know, 50s. I don't know how many shows. Yeah, I did a lot of TV as well. I love TV.
So yeah. What would you prefer, TV or film or music videos?
Anything, just sitting in the director chair, doesn't matter what it is. I think they're all fun. But TV was really great. TV, I had kids, and the schedule of doing a feature is very difficult. If you have kids, you can do it, but it's hard, and so but TV was perfect. You could shoot a TV show in 5 days or 8 days, 10 days. And then
Yep.
it's really quick to edit. So as a mom, it worked out really well. And I love TV. It was like the height of TV. So it was another perfect way. Yeah, TV was just the super. It was like they were doing so many cool shows, working with amazingly talented people, and I had the best. Yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, that was good. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I did. Yeah, all those shows are just so fun. Some I did a lot of first episode, whatever, like early shows, and once in a while I got on shows that were a few seasons in, but mostly I did like first season shows, which was great.
Yeah.
Again, you're kind of
Yes.
establishing a new style, a new person, a new act. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the shows that are around nowadays, you're really heavily invested in and that draw you in. For instance, like Euphoria. My wife and I have just started watching season one of that. And
Oh,
it's a couple of years
it's
old.
so
It's been around
dark.
for. It is dark.
Yeah.
It's very, very dark. But you got to. To my
And
wife as well. Like we're in our early 40s, and it's like how many kids are out there these days that would be living very similar lives like this? It'd be pretty. I think it'd be pretty spot on in terms of like how they can
it
get
is, but
caught
it's
up in all
kind of
that
like
stuff.
because I have kids that are that age, and I just feel like it's the
Okay.
darkest side of that age. And
Mm.
that's, of course, the exploitive side of television. You're not going to make it about just regular kids. So, yes, there's a small percentage of people that
Mm.
are those kids, but I just don't think it's indicative of every kid. In fact, I think that after watching
No.
that, I think that most kids are like, I'm not going to be like that. Like, that's crazy. You don't make it out of there. Like, that's
Yeah,
dark.
and then there's yeah, exactly, and then there's over on Apple TV you got the series Cape Fear. Oh, I love the
Yeah, I've
'90s
been
movie
starting to
with the
watch
new,
the new one. Yeah, I really like it. It's
very good.
very scary. Yeah.
Bottoms, he's such the perfect villain in
Oh,
like
Javier
for
Bardem.
this
Yeah,
this
that
day
was
and age.
crazy. He's so good.
He's He's awesome. There's something
No.
about him where he just, it's like looking at a stray dog in everything that
Yeah,
he's
you don't know what
in
he's
every
going to do.
character. Exactly. Every character is different as well.
Yeah.
Different styles of villain. But yeah, so getting back to like TV, it's the way that they're shot now, you can be heavily invested in shows for sure. So, and just wrapping up, Tamra. So we're almost at an hour, but going back into like the late 80s and 90s and into the 2000s, what advice would you give, especially female directors, what advice would you give to them in today's world about how to get into the industry and make it and make some of the similar films like that you've made in the past? What would you say to these people?
I would say that the only reason I became is because I was incredibly ambitious and I really followed through on. I made films. I picked up a camera. I made films. I edited them. I showed them. I pushed it. I made myself who I was. I didn't sit back. Nobody's going to call you, wait for you. You have to make everything happen. You have to
Yeah.
find out what's the new. It's all up to you. It's like, so if you want to do this, you you make a movie. You figure out how you're going to make a movie. Like you go to film school or you just make it yourself, whatever it is. Like it's all up to you. So I like in the beginning, like, so, all that energy. And so you really have to love it because it takes so much time to do all those things. And it's what you have to do. Like, that's why the latest film that I made, The Best Summer, is because I don't like to not work. And Hollywood's been in this weird slump lately. And I was like, I don't
Mm.
like to not work. I'm gonna pull out footage that I have since, whatever, and just like I've got to make a movie. And that's how you are. Like, if you're an artist, if you're a painter, if you write, like, that's part of what you do. So I think, like, of course people are going to say no to you because it's the hardest thing in the world to get into. You're going to get like a billion no's. So get used to listening to people say no. And instead of like, whatever, doesn't mean no. That's just, for them it's no. It doesn't mean no to you. Like, you have to, if you want to do it, you're still a yes. And so I just felt like I just
Yeah.
kept pushing always. And I also felt like I was already at a no. So what does it matter if I try? Like, I'm already
Yeah.
a zero. Like, so let me put effort in and let me at least try to make something or do it. There's nothing to be lost. I'm already at zero. So I just feel like that's the thing of, like, you have to just keep pushing and also look for if you're trying to get into something new, look for the new way in. Like, what
Yeah.
are they making? It's like micro dramas. Like, if I was a young filmmaker, I'd be like, how do I make a micro drama? If I was like, I'd try to figure out what are people doing? How are people consuming that media or entertainment, and break into the new stuff first, because that's
Mm.
that's the first way in. Like, that's how I got in, was with MTV. When I did features, it was these little low budget indie, whatever, because that was like new. They were making these like little teeny movies, finally, the indies. And then the same thing, like TV was new. All of a sudden cable was coming. So cable needed TV shows. So I got to get in there and make like these cool little cable shows. And that kept getting bigger and bigger. And so I just feel like that's look for the new thing. And and just, I don't know, be brave. You have to imagine yourself first. Like, imagine what you want to do. And every step you take, it should lead to that goal. And if it doesn't, you're on the wrong path. So, even though I took little side steps and made other things, they were all towards the goal. Yeah. So
Yeah.
make a goal and then keep heading towards it.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
and
you're
that's it's very good advice, especially for the youth of today. Like, my background is in commercial real estate and I'm also an auctioneer as well. But when I wanted to become an auctioneer, it's the first thing I saw when I was in the industry. The first
Can you
week
talk
I go,
fast
right,
like
I
that?
want
Can
to
you
be
do
that
that?
eventually.
Yeah. Or you don't have to talk
I'm
so.
not trading as an auctioneer at the moment, but yeah, it's kind of like, well, ladies and gentlemen, I think you need to come in today's auction first, second, third, blah, 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 you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Isn't that
you do
great?
get that
Yeah. It takes
lingo.
practice. Yeah. That's
100%.
so exciting.
And I used to go to different auctioneers and I'd say, oh, I want to be an auctioneer. It's like, that's great, mate. Well, why don't you go and get some experience? And it's like, well, okay, how am I going to get experience? So how I actually cracked into the industry, and I was doing it part-time for 4 years, is that I went to 3 different auctioneers. I recorded all of them with a dictaphone back in the day, right? Went back and got dialogue from each of those auctioneers that I liked and practiced in the mirror, Eminem style, over and over and over and over and over. And I created this version of myself, did some state final, got into some novice auctioneer competitions, then made it the state final. Then one of the judges then had a meeting with me and hired me, and I worked with him for 4 years. But my point
But
is,
you put that effort
like you
in.
said, it's like
Look at what you
ambition.
did. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
yeah, and
Because
that's
you
why
had
I
a
do what I
goal
do now
and you,
with.
yeah,
Thank you.
that's incredible.
Yeah, and now that I use my whilst I'm not trading as an auctioneer at the moment, my movie reviews is public speaking, and we're talking here and there, so
Yeah,
you get
you
those
use that
skills
skill.
for life. So I'm still
Yeah.
I'm still utilizing skills, and then I do all my producing with the editing in the background on Adobe Premiere, and it's all new skill sets. So again, as you said, it's not taking no for an answer. Finding those different avenues, and just until you get to that goal, you got to keep going.
Yeah, and also this industry is constantly changing. It's like
Yeah.
so you're not going to get in the industry and become a director like the people from the past. You have to be a director from the stuff that's going to happen in the future. So like you can't, like that's also important to remember that here you're doing a podcast. You might have been like, oh, one day I want to be in radio, but you're like, oh, radio is just another way of saying a podcast now, but you had a goal of like wanting to do something like this. So I think like that's the thing, is you just have to also be aware that this industry changes, and you have to just be up on and be see what that change could be and be that change. That's where you come in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Tamra, thank you very much
Thank
for
you
coming
so
on,
much.
Deema.
So
Really
fun.
do
Nice talking to you.
appreciate it. It's been very good. So look, we'll edit this and we'll be coming out in a couple of weeks' time. I'll flick it over to you and we'll go from there. But a big thank you for making all those cult classics. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm looking forward to your...
Thank you.
Was it the summer? The best summer?
The best
I'll be looking
summer,
forward
yeah.
to that. That's for sure. No, very good.
And I gave you
All
one
right,
more
Tamra.
to watch, The Radiant Child. Okay.
Okay. I'll get onto that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll
Bye.
see you soon. Bye-bye. So there you have it, Tamra Davis. Thank you very much, Tamra, for coming on DMR. You've got some amazing stories. Keep doing what you're doing, and we're very much looking forward to that documentary that's coming out early next year. So if you like this episode, please subscribe, like, share it with your friends and family. It does help as well, supporting DMR by doing all that jazz. And we're very busy canvassing Hollywood talent via PR firms and guests directly. We're getting some very positive responses. We've got another interview coming up next month. We're very psyched about how the momentum is going. And the great news is that DMR is being approached by PR firms and guests themselves to come on the show. So very good stuff there. Again, thank you for everyone for the support in 2026. It's been a wild ride thus far. And as per usual, laters on the Menjay.
You've just experienced DMR, the red carpet treatment. Now, get your ass to the movies.